within which judgments must be served on the respective learned counsel that appeal. Thank you very much.
My Lord Jaro, read your judgment.
Thank you. Well, I have had the privilege of reading before now the lead judgment delivered by my learned brother, John Ian.
In a unanimous judgment, 7-man panel of the Supreme Court today affirmed President Bola Tinubu's victory at the February 2023 presidential election. Thanks for joining us on the program, everyone. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. You can join the conversation right now on X, formerly Twitter, using hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG. The Apex Court has delivered a judgment on 2023 presidential election petition. A panel of 7 justices headed by Justice Iyan Okoro made that critical decision earlier today. The Supreme Court dismissed the appeal filed by the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu. The Apex Court then thrashed all the grounds of appeal of Atiku and the PDP on qualification, non-compliance with the Electoral Act, 25% votes in FCT, as well as electoral malpractices. We spoke with some APC stakeholders at the court earlier today, and here's how they reacted to the court judgment.
It is instructive that the decisions were unanimous, without any dissenting voice. Like the judge said, all litigation must come to an end. They addressed all the issues, about 7 of them, and those issues were and the judgments on each of the issues were clearly unassailable as far as I'm concerned. That's come to an end now. We now have to all come together as one country, one people, and move ahead and take this country where it rightfully should be.
I came here as somebody who's interested, as somebody who wants the country to move forward. So I congratulate Mr. President, and I think that this has come to the end. No more speculation. That's why Mr. President can focus and do what he's supposed to do for Nigerians.
Pertaining to acceptance of this verdict, I urge our colleagues, politicians, to accept it in good faith. And also I have to use the opportunity to congratulate politicians, to congratulate the leaders of the opposition political parties, because it is better for them to resort to judiciary, which they have done so.
This is not just a victory for our party APC. It's a victory for the country. And we want to salute the judiciary, starting from the Supreme Court, the Appeal Court. Their judgment was very detailed, was very meticulous. They laid the foundation for the Supreme Court judgment. I want to salute the judges of the Supreme Court as well. They were straight to the point. And I believe that this judgment would be seen worldwide as that which is in line with global best practices in law.
And President Bola Tinubu has welcomed the ruling of the Supreme Court, calling on all to join hands together for the progress of the country. According to him, today's victory has further energized and strengthened his commitment to continue to serve all Nigerians of all political persuasions, tribes, and faiths.
I've started from day one to work hard, regardless of, the court cases, okay? And just strengthen my resolve to do more. A challenge of this nature and a victory of this nature is more work and more hard work, more dedication. It just appeal to the sense of patriotism of Nigeria to have a change of mindset. Let us be positive about our country, be ready to contribute in all ways possible. There's no promise of El Dorado from day one. We're all in this boat of diversity, a member of the same family, living in the same house, but stay in different rooms. And it is important that we recognize that we have no other country but they swore. So we better be committed to it, not for the sake of our own self-aggrandizement, our commitment to the values, the creed of dedication, patriotism, and commitment to the value of this country.
President Bola Tinubu's reaction to the outcome of today's judgment from Nigeria's apex court. Femi Akonde, State House correspondent, joins me right now, live from the presidential villa. Femi, let's begin with the mood in the villa after today's judgment. The president was seen in a video jokingly congratulating a special advisor on media and publicity that his job is secured. It would seem the presidency followed this case with some cautious optimism, Femi.
Yes, Nifemi, the presidency watched the proceedings from the proceedings at the Supreme Court. They followed bit by bit as it was televised live on TVC News and other national televisions. The president has been following this process from the beginning. At the end of the day, when judgment was delivered, it was a huge relief for Mr. President and his administration, because what it means now is that they will be able to focus on governance. This will put an end to the speculations and this kind of news that has been circulating on both the social media and the traditional media about the outcome of this election. A lot of things have happened before now that in some cases have even caused some kind of distraction for the government, because we have seen them in some cases reacting to some of these comments made about being made about the election and how President Bola Tinubu's victory was declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission. But with what has happened today, the Supreme Court affirmed President Bola Tinubu's victory. What the president is saying is that it is time to move on. It is time for governance. Also calling on all Nigerians, irrespective of political parties, to join hands with his administration as he gets down to doing the job of achieving that renewed hope agenda upon which he campaigned. Nifemi.
You were there when he spoke to the press for the first time after the judgment. Did he specifically address the presidential candidate of the PDP and Labour Party and extending an olive branch to them in his speech?
Well, the president did not particularly mention names. He did not particularly call their names out. But, by calling on Nigerians, he was talking to their supporters, a lot of Nigerians that also voted for them. But indeed, President Bola Tinubu got the majority vote. But a number of Nigerians also voted for Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party and Peter Obi of the PDP. President Bola Tinubu was directing his message to those supporters, telling them that indeed he needs them now to trust his government because now that the matter has been settled in the Supreme Court, it is time for him to begin to ensure that the dividends of democracy are felt across the nooks and crannies of the country. And he's saying that, well, we are all in this boat together, this boat of governance, of national life, and that he, as the captain of that boat, would ensure that he steers the boat to a desired destination for all Nigerians, looking at the reforms that have already been introduced by his administration on the economy, security, and all other critical sectors of the country. So he's calling for support of the generality of Nigerians without specifically mentioning the names of those that are contested in that election and also dragged him to court.
State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us at the presidential villa. Good to see you, Femi. Let's bring you some more reactions to this judgment. The leadership of Labour Party has reacted to the Supreme Court judgment affirming the February 25th presidential election, and it's saying it's a miscarriage of justice. The party's national chairman, Julius Abure, in a press statement says the party is indeed shocked that even the apex court will toe the line of an earlier judgment in spite of all the flaws associated with that judgment. He, however, conceded that the party has no other choice but to move on. Let's bring you some highlights of that judgment delivered by the Supreme Court earlier today, particularly considering the key decisions made by the lead justice Inyang Okoro, held that the Supreme Court lacks jurisdiction to admit new evidence, thereby dismissing PDP's application to bring in fresh evidence. He also stated that nothing in Section 285, subsection 6 suggests that the Court of Appeal can hear election petitions without time limits. The court also ruled that failure of INEC's IREC doesn't stop the collation of results, and although non-functioning of IREF may have reduced confidence of Nigerians in the electoral system, failure to transmit results to IREF didn't affect that election. The lead justice also noted that the Federal Capital Territory has no special status. I'm joined now by legal practitioner GT Ogunye for more on the Supreme Court judgment. Thank you for joining us on the news this hour. Briefly, let's begin with your thought on today's decision by the Apex Court. Was this outcome widely expected among legal practitioners?
Thanks for inviting me. I think that the decision of the Supreme Court today on the presidential election petition appeal is widely expected by lawyers who are rational and reasonable and are familiar with the provisions of the law. I mean, those who are familiar with the electoral jurisprudence of Nigeria will know that the Supreme Court wasn't going to do anything fundamentally different from what the tribunal had done. At the level of the tribunal, it was 5-0, and at the level of the Supreme Court is 7-0 today. So what the Supreme Court did today is slightly expected.
All right, so on PDP's application to bring in new evidence, the Supreme Court ruled based on two issues. One is the issue of jurisdiction of the court, which the lead justice says cannot be conferred on the court. There's also the period of time within which a petition can be amended. How much of a game changer was this decision to the outcome of this case?
It wasn't a game changer, rather those who are pursuing all sense and fury, signifying nothing, while the people who wanted a game changer. The law is settled that election petitions are sui generis. From declaration of results, you have 21 days to put in a petition, and you can amend the process as you could with ordinary civil cases. You can amend your petition, and no other thing will be allowed to be brought in. As a matter of fact, when the Chicago State University grandstand was going on, we were of the view, and we expressed this publicly, that even if the depositions arising from the CSU controversy had been made available at the lower tribunal, when that tribunal was going on, after the 21 days of submitting that petition, that evidence would never be allowed to go in, let alone on appeal at the Supreme Court now. But it's understandable. Politicians, particularly those who have participated in elections like that many times, seeing the chances slipping away, will do everything legitimate and also legitimate, procedural and also procedural, to just slip something in and to see whether that could be a game changer. Now, if wishes were houses, beggars will ride.
Interesting way you've put it. Recall that the justices of the Court of Appeal alluded to the fact that the judiciary was under attack while that presidential petition court was ongoing. As a lawyer, would you say that the judiciary came out stronger and more credible after this process of electoral proceedings?
I think so. I believe so. And I'm saying it with a sense of responsibility. When you talk about judicial justice, you are talking about justice according to law, according to procedures, according to rules, according to precedents. It's not justice in a vacuum, okay? And so those who wanted justice based on their whims and caprices, that will not be predicated on adherence to rules, to precedents, to authorities, were just, doing what they were doing, riling the public and making the public to have unreasonable expectation, about the possibility of what would come. That was not how the judiciary would look at the matter. It was clear to any rational lawyer in the country that that was not how the judiciary was going to look at the matter. As a matter of fact, for example, if the Supreme Court were to accept the fresh evidence, what will happen? They will now call for fresh deposition, or people will, go to the witness stand at the Supreme Court, which is not a trial court, and then examination, cross-examination. The Supreme Court was not going to do all that. And it was clear to everybody. So I think that the judiciary on this occasion came out clearly that they could not be intimidated, they could not be overawed or overwhelmed. The rational people, and that they could not be insulted into doing the bidding of certain persons who wish their biddings should be done. As a matter of fact, for the political parties whose shifters are still making statements talking about, yes, they accept the judgment, but they disagree, I can't see the wood from the trees. It's a distinction without a difference. So I think that by now they should, take it and admonish themselves that going forward, it is not good for you to set up the judiciary and undermine judiciary, which is an institution, major institution of democracy, by portraying it based on partisan and jaundiced view that it is set up not to do justice. Many of the people who are saying this had gotten justice from the same Supreme Court before. And that's the point. They've gotten justice before. Their mandate had been denied them. They were granted their mandate.
It cannot go their way this time, and then they come out to say something differently.
So that's the annoying part of it. And I think that politicians just do their own thing and leave the judiciary.
I hear you very clearly. There must be an end to litigation, but the end to this one is coming exactly 8 months and the day after. What do you make of the time frame? Because it could have gone the other way, and that could have abruptly affected leadership. What did you say?
Again, this is the point. There are arguments that election petitions must be concluded before swearing in of those whose elections are being contested. That's an argument. But where are we coming from? We're coming from a past in which election petitions could be determined, almost indefinitely before the intervention by way of constitutional amendment that limited the determination in the trial court, in the tribunal, to 180 days, and then subsequently to 60 days. Now, that was when even, and this is very instructive, Mr. Peter Obi couldn't get its mandate recovered for almost 3 years from Ngige. That's the past we are coming from. So if we are now having 8 months, I will tell you that, yes, it's not ideal. It's not even ideal that we should be having perpetual contestations of election results, but I can tell you that that's far, far better than the past from which we're coming from.
Relative to where we're coming from, let's explore the Supreme Court position on concerns raised by the PDP and Labour Party about the Court of Appeal disparaging the petitioners. Do you agree with the Apex Court's position, and is this setting precedents as to the tone with which justices of the Court of Appeal can address the petitioners going forward?
No. I think the Supreme Court, has every right to review what the lower tribunal has done. But I think that the sense I make of it is that, look, the Supreme Court is like the last bus stop, the big master, admonishing the other masters below it that, look, even in the face of provocation, remain calm. And I think that that point is well taken. That you can deal with the law, no matter how testy, how volatile, how controversial the matter is. Judex is supposed to be calm in the face of storm, do justice according to law, and not get into fisticuffs and come back with litigants who will provoke the court, particularly in an election petition, who will say anything and everything, who will accuse the judiciary of not giving justice and all that. And in the face of all that, the Judex, unmoved like the rock of Gibraltar, should just do justice according to law. Heaven will not fall if justice is done without getting into altercation. And I think that that point is well taken.
You heard the lead justice saying that it's unbecoming that when a matter is pending in court, litigants engage the media. I'm wondering if that is enough as deterrence, seeing the much impact it's had on the judiciary and even, the pressure that the judiciary is getting from social media and even traditional media these days.
Yes, I think that it's meet and appropriate that the Supreme Court should weigh in on it. But I don't think that those who engage in all this persist. As a matter of fact, we've addressed this before. In the past, some of our colleagues in the NBA were saying, no, if the matter is going to court, it should not be discussed. No, that's not what our rules of professional ethics expect of us. What those rules expect of us is that you shouldn't discuss that matters and then predetermine it by saying this is the merit, this is how it's going to come, this is who is going to win, and so on and so forth. But because it's a matter of public interest, you can discuss it, as a matter that has just been put in the docket of the court. And the second thing is that when the matter is going on, parties who are partisans shouldn't engage in attacking the judiciary. There are sufficient mechanisms for dealing with cases in which litigants are saying, we've lost confidence in this tribunal, we've lost confidence in this panel. And they can call for the disbandment of the panel based on good, solid grounds. You have recourse. Lawyers have a right, or litigants acting through their lawyers have a right to say, please, Chief Judge, transfer my case. Based on so reason, I can't get justice here. They have the right to so do, but to go outside that procedure, that mechanism, and generally make reckless statements attacking the person of judges while they are considering a matter, in order to overwhelm them, intimidate them, it's not right. And I think that that's why God of Appeal Justice, acting as a tribunal now, reacted like that. All eyes on them, all things were being said, even with the latest judgment of the Supreme Court before now, in the past 2 days, how many of them were said to have recused themselves?
Exactly.
That this will be because they couldn't be part of the shenanigans. All these things were flying about in social media. Okay? And so these things get to them. And they are human beings too. And they are not in a position to defend themselves.
All right.
They don't grant interviews and so on and so forth. They speak chiefly through their judgments. And it is appropriate that, on occasions like this, they can weigh in on that and say, no, we don't expect this to happen. And I think that it's good for the legal profession to take it for the NBA and for all the stakeholders to say, look, if you're handling a matter and your clients are making statements over your heads, accusing the judiciary, you have a duty as a lawyer to say, no, don't do this to the judges.
Absolutely.
You are going to make our jobs more difficult.
That's our time, Mr. Oguye. The litigation is over now. We can now all turn attention back to governance and make this government accountable for all the promises it made prior to the election. Legal practitioner Atiku Oguye, thank you so much for talking to us on the program this evening.
Thank you.
And that's our show. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. You can join the conversation on X, formerly Twitter, if you use the hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to tag TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye.